We'll call the meeting to order. Tonight we'll begin our process with welcoming Luke Winchell, who can speak to us after he takes his ceremonial oath of office. Our substitute clerk, Rebecca, is going to read that ceremonial oath, I believe. That's the way things are done, right?
Yep.
Reading the ceremonial oath. So, and then Luke can respond with it at the end. I saw this earlier. Jeez.
And if you want, you can stand during your official, you don't have to stand during the ceremonial one, but if you want to stand when you do this part.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll give you a signal when you
Perfect, thank you.
It is an honor that you were elected to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and the other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the roles of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community's educational future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets the course for the public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board we must be accountable to the community, we must ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children. As board members, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community schools to advance the vision of our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together with the superintendent and staff to lead the district towards fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Having signed the accepted, oh, that's not my part. Please stand.
You knew that.
I did know that.
Having signed the acceptance of office and oath of office, I hereby publicly affirm my commitment to the oath of office. I swear affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of school board member of Independent School District number 252 to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you, Luke. You are hereby recognized as a board member for District 252. We're happy to have you. Congratulations. All right. Luke, before we go on and before we do the pledge, why don't you tell us who you are?
Yeah, thanks. I'm Luke Winchell, community member, parent, graduated from Cannon Falls, graduated from the district. I've got 3 children that will be 2 in the district now and 1 more that will be coming through when he's old enough. So I look forward to working with you all and the community alike to keep this district going in the right direction.
Thank you. Okay. We now have 5 members present. I'm sorry, Katie wasn't able to make it tonight, Katie Lochner. So would everyone please join us, if you will, as we say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
It's a busy evening. It's our annual board organization, among other things. We do some designations. We establish different things on behalf of the school that fits us for the balance of the year. So, having said that, is there anything that you want or need to add? Superintendent? Anybody else? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as shown.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Bill.
Second.
Second by Rebecca. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye. Opposed? Carried. So we begin, I'm the acting chairman of the board at this point in time until the chairman is so duly elected. So at this point in time, I will open up for nominations for the election of chair. Do I hear nominations?
I'll nominate Bob as chair.
A second.
I should have announced this before. We don't need seconds necessarily. Only one will do. But
Give it.
we okay that. So we have
Appreciate your support.
I'll take it back.
So we have a motion naming Bob as a nominee. Do I hear any other motions? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Once and final, any other nominations? Thank you. By acclamation, Bob Brittle is the chairman of the board for the upcoming year. Nominations for vice chairman. Do I hear any nominations?
Nominate Brenda.
I'll second.
Do we hear any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations? Third and final time. By acclamation, Brenda is the vice chairman of the board. Congratulations, Brenda. Nominations for clerk are now open. Do I hear any nominations for the office of clerk?
I'll nominate Rebecca Piney for clerk.
Brenda. Do we have any other nominations? Third and final time, any other nominations for the office of clerk? Nominations are closed. Rebecca, you are the clerk. Thank you. Okay, we're kind of short on election of treasurer right now. Bill cannot do that because of his employment. So, do we have any nominations for the office of treasurer?
We'll nominate Luke, the new guy.
Perfect. Perfect. Luke has been nominated as the treasurer. Luke, you can always discuss the duties with either the superintendent or the human resources person as to just what they are.
I have about a month's worth of experience as well, so.
Okay.
You can lean on Rebecca. Any other nominees for the office of treasurer? Third and final time. Any other nominees for the office of treasurer? Nominations are closed. By acclamation, Luke Winchell is the treasurer of the school board. Thank you, Luke. Item B, establish the time and meeting place for board meetings. As you can see, regular board meetings are held on the second and fourth Mondays at 6 p.m., with only one scheduled meeting on the fourth Monday during June, July, August, and September. December and May have one meeting on the third Monday in a typical year. So I would look for a motion to approve, and again, even if you do approve it, make a motion, we can still discuss it if you'd like to rescind that. So I would look for a motion to continue with the time and meeting place of board meetings.
So moved.
Moved by Brenda,
Second.
second by Rebecca. Any other discussion? All in favor of the continuance of the established time for a meeting at the board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Designation of the official newspaper. We've used our hometown paper in the past for these 100 years. So, does anyone have any other choices, or would they like to continue with the Beacon as our official newspaper? If so, I would look for a motion.
I'll move that to make the Canfield's Beacon, or to designate the Beacon as our official newspaper.
Motion by Brenda to make the Beacon our paper,
I'll second.
seconded by Luke. Any other discussion? All in favor of the Beacon as our official newspaper, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. 5-0. The official posting place for school board meetings notices, school board meeting notices, is in the district office. You've seen that posting there before. And that's where it's located, so we'll have to officially recognize that posting place unless you have any qualms about it. Look for a motion to approve the posting place.
Second.
Moved by Bill, seconded by Rebecca. Any other discussion? All in favor of the official posting place for the board meetings outside of the district office, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Designation of depository in accordance with Minnesota Statute 118A.02. Little help here.
Yes, with the 3 banks that we have here in town, the district has had a history of rotating among banks, and the schedule is up here currently. Maybe make it a little bit larger so you can see it. Our current bank is Community Resources Bank, and that designation is made through the end of this coming December in 2022, and at that time, Josh will work to move our bank accounts over to the next bank on the rotation, which is First Farmers and Merchants. I believe we do have one bank that we constantly stay with, Josh, is that correct?
Correct. Merchants, we have our HSA.
Our HSAs, because we can't really switch
And
those
the
around.
student activity formula there.
Yep. So really what you're doing is approving Community Resource Bank as the depository up until December of '22, or when it'll change.
So we need to designate Community Resource Bank as our depository in accordance with this statute. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Rebecca on the motion, second.
Second, I had a question.
Seconded by Bill. Other discussion, Cole?
Just, Josh, I guess with the organizational meeting, January 9th of '23, would we need it to extend to that? Because of the change,
Sure.
I guess.
I think one thing that you could do is just approve the schedule as it's
As
written
it-
here,
as
because
it's
this is
written.
something that the board created probably when Jesus was a baby, back in the day. So
Okay.
you can just approve the schedule.
Good enough?
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to name Community Resources our depository. If we have no other discussion, all in favor of Community Resource, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Designation of the board's legal counsel and authorized contacts. We've used Ratwick, Roswick, Wozak, and Maloney. Superintendent, district personnel, and school board chairman are the authorized contacts. So is this a bid process, or do we usually just go with the, there's not a lot of attorneys that deal with education, is there?
No, there's a handful, and they all usually cost about the same.
And you've had a good relationship with them?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've used them this
You
year.
guys have used Ratwick for many years, here is my understanding, and I used Ratwick prior to coming here. So I would recommend keeping Ratwick.
Move to approve.
Bill on the approval of Ratwick as our attorneys. Second. motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor of using Ratwick as our legal counsel, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Establish the annual salary for board members. Currently, we're at $12.50 a year, half paid in June, half paid in December. You've seen other schools there. We seem to be very competitive. Some offer stipends to committee members, some offer it to board chairman, vice chairman. Some just offer a straight annual stipend, and we've always been on that page. So,
I would say we're in the middle of HVO schools right now. School districts do it different all across the board, whether they go by committee or stipend for the year.
In order to keep the salary the same for the next year.
Brenda moves for the continuance of the salary at $1,250 a year,
Second.
seconded by Rebecca. Other discussion? The one committee that seems to be having a lot of work always, and Bill smirks because it's absolutely true, is the intensity of the negotiations. I think in future we should have discussion on that committee that's disproportionate to all the others in its
Time involved.
time involved. So we're all fully connected with the fact that we'll just do $12.50 a year, but I just wanted that duly noted. So we
Yeah,
have
a couple of schools have extra salary for the negotiations committee on here. Just-
we're going out to the community. I
FYI.
think it's a good idea to just hold
Yeah.
the fort. So we have a motion and a second to keep the annual salary at its current level of $12.50. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Hey, what a surprise, Luke. You didn't know you got paid for that.
Yeah, right.
Authorization of the impress fund, which is a petty cash and small amounts of discretionary funds in the form of cash used for expenditures where it is not sensible to make any disbursement by check because of the inconvenience and costs of writing, signing, and cashing. Impress fund, been around for many, many years. I would look for a motion to approve the impress fund.
Motion to approve.
Rebecca? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Bill. Just so I fully understand the impressed fund, what would be, is there a typical thing that we use it for? Is there just things that come up that,
I think Lori and Josh could probably answer that a little bit more, maybe stamps down at the bank or,
Primarily postage. Very seldom now with the district credit card, we have cash in the petty cash fund or the impress fund. Generally, it's under $5 in that box right now. The credit card is postage, but generally for mailings.
okay? Any other questions? We have a motion and a second on the floor for the authorization of the impress funds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is carried. Payroll authorization for use of a facsimile signature on payroll and voucher checks in accordance with statutes 4741, 4742.
statute driven for payroll or faxes.
It's a fairly simple one. Anybody have any questions or a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Rebecca? On the motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Bill. Other discussion? All in favor of the facsimile signature, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve the resolution for combined polling place in 2023.
I believe I have that pulled up here. Give me a second. Combined polling place is needed a year in advance, so we usually do it for the organizational meeting for the following year. And this would be for combined polling for the 2023 year if the board decides to run a special election, much like they're doing on February 8th, but this would be for a year out. So
Move to approve.
it is a resolution.
Yep.
Oh,
Brenda, no? You
need a
good?
motion.
Brenda on the motion?
I'll
Second. Seconded by Bill. Clark?
Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 252, State of Minnesota as follows. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 25A11, the precinct and polling places for the school district elections are those precincts or parts of precincts located within the boundaries of the school district which they have been established by the cities or towns located in whole or in part within the school district. The board hereby confirms these precincts and polling places so established by those municipalities. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 25A.11, the board may establish a combined polling place for several precincts for school district elections not held on the day of a statewide election. Each combined polling place must be a polling place that has been designated by a county or municipality. The following combined polling places are established to serve the precincts specified for all school districts, special and general elections not held on the same day as a statewide election, from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Combined polling place, Cannon Falls City Hall, 918 River Road, Cannon Falls, Minnesota 55009.
I think that's good.
Okay.
Lori, that should be fine, right?
Does it?
Okay.
Okay, so a yes vote would be for the approval of the combined polling place being at the City Hall.
Bob?
Yes.
Brenda?
Yes.
Absent. Bill?
Yes.
Luke?
Yes.
Rebecca? Yes.
Okay, that passes by a 5-0. Thank you,
Who did the
Rebecca.
second on that? Brenda?
What?
You made the motion. Bill?
Bill.
And Bill
You
seconded,
missed it.
yep.
Thank you.
Authorization allowing the superintendent to approve purchases up to $10,000.
This is what it states that it is. Anything above $10,000. Obviously, you guys pass a budget in June, but for large purchases out of that budget, we will bring those to you. But this will help along with the day-to-day operations.
And we've had this for,
Quite a few years.
yes, many, many years. Look for a motion to approve the superintendent having purchased up to $10,000.
Motion to approve.
Rebecca on the motion. Second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Bill. Other discussion? All in favor of this authority for the superintendent of purchases up to $10,000? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Designation of the superintendent as our local education agent, LEA rep, and the Iowa for 2022.
The designation as the SOUP for the LEA is pretty self-explanatory. But with the Iowa, that is to give me the authority to give employees powers within the MDE system to add information and to run our reports for the district. And so that gives me the power to give them a password, basically.
And again, this is part of the Department of Education's requirements.
Yes.
So, we're designated you to be kind of the day-to-day operations person in this LEA.
Yeah.
Okay. I would look for a motion to approve the superintendent as our LEA and our Iowa rep.
Motion to approve.
Rebecca on the motion. Second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Bill. You guys are running the table here. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor of the designation of the SUP as the LEA and the Iowa rep, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Committee assignments for 2022. You know what's difficult here is, I don't know if you've read the policy, but these are appointments by the board chair. We're missing a member this evening, and quite frankly, until you're appointed board chair, it seems presumptuous of me to even step in and say, this is where you should go. So if we walk through this, currently Bill is an ex officio, again, because of his employment. I'm on the finance. I believe Luke should be on the finance because of his position as treasurer. So we'll forego the alternate. Luke, you make these meetings when you can. They're very informative, and you will be our finance liaison with Bob and Bill. Facility committee, that's also an open shot. Rebecca, would you like to move up to that primary slot, or do you feel good as the alternate?
I feel really good as the alternate,
Okay.
because it's a little outside of, I'm learning a lot, but I mean, if somebody is a little bit more knowledgeable or has a higher level of interest, it might be a better fit.
So that's kind of an open area.
So you're stepping up to negotiations.
That's
Luke,
what I might
thought
be
this
saying.
might be good for you.
Yeah.
When do they meet? Is this a as necessary kind of thing?
Well,
Yeah.
currently we're meeting quite a bit because of the, or we're meeting quite a bit, I should say. But the referendum piece is off and running now. Typically it meets quarterly when we get back in a normal rotation.
Just so you have an idea.
So 4 times a year.
So, okay. Rebecca, and you will remain as alternate. You're good with that?
Yep. I'm continuing to expand my knowledge of HVAC systems.
Curriculum tech and we tech. I've not had a chance to talk to Katie about this at all, but that's an open spot where Anna used to be. Does anyone have a desire for that?
Yeah, so I mean, we do need 2 people for WeTech, and I've been going as the alternate, and I've enjoyed the conversation, so I would be open to continuing. Because I have been going to the last 2 in Anna's place.
You'd be on there as a
Permanent, yeah.
co-member?
Yep.
Okay. Would anyone else like to take that other spot there? Curriculum, technology, WeTech.
Oh, wait, is WeTech with curriculum technology? That's a separate line down below. You're gonna combine that.
I think they kind of go hand in hand.
I would be alternate.
You would be an alternate to that?
Yeah.
You're a kind person. Brenda is alternate. I don't know if we've resolved the problem of having Rebecca come to all the meetings.
There's some things we can take me off on.
So we can leave that as is. Katie on there, Brenda on there as alternate.
Is this for the staff development?
Yeah, shoot.
No, that's for curriculum technology and WeTech.
You stepped into that WeTech conversation because you were on that committee prior.
Yeah, I was
You know, yeah,
I was the alternate for WeTech, but, so I mean, I'm okay continuing to go to WeTech,
Okay?
and I would be interested in the curriculum technology piece.
That's the way I had it read. Okay. We'll
I think what's confusing about it is that WeTech requires 2, but I think it's listed, it's combined, and when we typically read it off the agenda.
So what would you be saying? We should have another person on there as well?
Just for WeTech. Sorry, what I'm saying, so WeTech has to have 2 people, 2 representatives, And I said, I'm okay continuing to do WeTech, and then I would be open to the open spot for curriculum and technology.
Well, the curriculum and technology, like you said, they all kind of melt together.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of put them together last year, so.
I just think it's confusing because we have it arranged in two
Yeah,
different ways,
yeah.
that's all.
How often does WeTech meet?
Quarterly.
I'll do it.
You get to see other high schools. They keep saying that there's treats at the meetings, but there hasn't been any yet, so.
I'm challenged on technology of all kinds, so this would be good for me. Okay, if you think that's confusing now, we've got staff development and GCED committee. So Brenda, you've been on staff development in the past.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
to continue on with that?
yes.
Okay. And are you okay as alternate to the
Yep.
staff development?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got that resolved. When is the next meeting of the GCED?
They,
They meet monthly with the board.
yeah.
So that's a monthly commitment.
Is it possible to leave that open till we have some other discussion with the board member? And I can go to it as a liaison for the next meeting if it's still this month. But probably
It's usually the third
Third wasn't it?
Thursday. Is it Thursday?
Yeah.
At 7. I'm the alternate. I'll be the alternate again.
You'll be the alternate for that?
Yeah, I'm the alternate, but I don't want to do
Okay.
that monthly.
Yep. Yep.
Just
So-
leave it as is.
So we'll leave it as,
Leave it
you're
as-
saying leave it open, but have Brendan go to the next meeting?
Or I can fill in for Brenda as well. As long as it's open, we haven't made any decisions on it, I think it's probably okay to just leave it as such. And I'll plug in for that first meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Transportation Committee, that's an ad hoc group, actually. You don't meet regularly, do you?
We try to meet quarterly, but it really is to look at the purchasing schedule and look at purchases for the following year. It's usually about, Josh, twice a year?
Yeah, usually twice.
You've been that person before, have you? Have you been enlightened?
I have.
Would you do it again?
I would do it again.
Okay.
Again, my knowledge of school buses has grown exponentially.
Okay, Rebecca, and if we need an alternate, you can always give us a call, somebody can fill in for you if
Just a heads up,
necessary.
I ask you to drive buses.
Can make Luke the alternate.
Yeah, I would do the
Would you?
alternate if we need for
Alternate
that.
Luke, that'll work. I promise you.
Try to
we will
volunteer
go
you to
over
do
that.
that.
Negotiations Personnel Committee, we've just been through the bulk of our opportunities here. Bill, would you consent to being on negotiations?
You're pressing me again, aren't you?
Yeah, I kind of am.
Okay.
And I can be as well, and that's kind of a dual role of Personnel Committee, but again, we only meet as necessary, and that doesn't happen a lot. So, would anybody volunteer to be an alternate? Katie was really good at being an alternate. At one point in time, she was attending all the meetings, and it can maybe be circuit overload when you've got 3 there. The design of it is like so many other committees. If your primary person can't be there, you will substitute in there. So would anyone raise their hands to be an alternate just in case? We can leave that open. We won't
We need to
have,
go back to negotiate to the stipend.
Yeah, but that's
by naming a stipend, everybody will raise their hand.
I'll be on,
Clamoring to jump on that right now.
coming down
We'll just,
the bottom.
we'll leave it as such.
Okay.
All right then.
Community Ed and Ed Foundation. Brenda, you've always been on those.
That's fine.
You're going to continue?
Yep.
Okay. Bill, you were an alternate.
Yep, I'll stay.
Okay, that continues on as is. MSBA policy, Minnesota State High School extracurricular. My feeling is we might get more involved in 2022 with these committees, so I think we should have 2. And I do believe that Luke would be a natural fit, especially for extracurricular. They meet sporadically. Reed?
Yep.
So if you would take over that, we'll chop off the alternate, and both of you can attend. Okay, everyone good? Got your assignments? Okay, the only open one is the Gced, which we can discuss, and I'll attend the next meeting. Reports and communication. Administrative board reports. These reports are provided at the first meeting of the month. Elementary school, did I see Jen here or not?
Hey, Bob.
It's right there.
Hi, Jen.
How are you?
The backdrop of your black sweater in the outside.
Sure. You got that.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add?
I did not submit one, so I'm here with Post-its today.
Yeah.
Couple of things, our kindergarten informances for music are happening this week during the school day, during the kids' music classes, so I just wanted to, that's kind of exciting to have a little bit of normalcy. So that is happening. Shout out to Miss Braun on the work that she puts into kindergartners. For those of you that don't know, an informant is a little bit different than a performance. It's basically inviting families in to see what's done during a typical music class. So that's been exciting. Round 2 of observations are underway for all of our probationary staff. And so that's kind of nice to have underway here in January. So excited to meet that timeline. Just 2 other shout outs. For those of you that don't know, Lynn Walter, Corey Nemchek, Chrissy Nelson, Lori Jackson, Mary Wirchis, and Kathy Stark are part of our intervention team. And it's without them that we would be in-person learning right now, because they are filling in every single day for teachers who are out. So a special shout out to them, as well as the nursing staff and my building secretary, who spends probably 5 hours a day working on attendance. And so for her first year to kind of see that has been interesting. So just wanted to highlight those, that group of staff who are really helping us kind of keep cooking along. So appreciate them and their hard work, along with everyone else, but I did just want to highlight the intervention team, who, when they go to bed at night, do not know what they're teaching the next day. Could be interventions, it could be kindergarten, could be preschool. So thank you to them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Shapee.
Yep.
Middle school, high school, and tech. I don't see Tim here.
No, Tim is
Could
not
get
able to
lost
make
in the
the
shuffle. And so I think he had a posting, didn't he? Can I read it? So please refer to Tim's page. If you have any questions, you can contact him or go through Mr. Sampson. Community Ed and Activities Department. Reed?
Just a couple of quick highlights. Three Rivers Conference ADs are meeting tomorrow to discuss our applications. So hopefully we'll get a positive recommendation that they will submit to their superintendents for the end of this month. Then we should be able to find out whether we are moving forward here to the 23 and 24 school year. Busy week this week for activities, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Tuesday and Friday and Saturday girls basketball, Thursday wrestling. Saturday is actually a doubleheader of girls basketball games starting late morning. And then boys basketball, plus we also have a big virtual speech competition Saturday. So a lot of activities going on. We'll be setting up, and Luke, I'll get you updated on this, but we'll get going on setting that next cooperative or extracurricular committee meeting to discuss cooperatives here sometime in February.
Thank you, Reed. Dave also did a post that you can take a look at. He's, like Reed, they're very busy people this time of year. Very busy. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Bob. The only thing I really have is just an update on COVID in our schools coming into the holiday break, our numbers were actually looking pretty encouraging. There was a decrease in the numbers overall coming out of the break. Has been a different story. Our numbers have been climbing pretty rapidly. If you look at our COVID webpage from last Friday, it's a lot higher than it was prior to break. And so we will be monitoring that to see where the metrics are over the next couple of days or week or so, and make adjustments as necessary. CDC came out recently and over the holiday break, which is great for schools, when nobody's in session to make adjustments. They lowered the quarantine time from 10 days to 5 days, but people would still have to masks for the rest of the 5 days, among other items. The state of Minnesota is looking at that guidance and will be informing our nurses this Wednesday, actually, after school. And then we will see what that means for us as a school district, and may or may not make some changes depending on where our numbers are currently going right now based on what the CDC is recommending. So that is what I have for now.
Okay. Question for Jeff? Moving along. Public input. Due to data privacy concerns, the speaker may not address criticism toward an individual district employee during public input. Individual complaints should be handled privately within the building administrators and/or the SUP. Comments from visitors may be informational in nature and not exceed 3 minutes. A board cannot engage in a discussion or debate in those 3 minutes, but will take the information and find answers that are appropriate. As part of the board protocol, it is unacceptable for any speaker to slander or engage in character assassination at the board meeting. As we said before, we're not providing a platform for individuals to speak on items that don't directly affect our board. But we're open to discussion up to 3 minutes per whatever your concern is about the school district or items that directly affect the school district at this time. So, who wishes to speak? Moving forward.
I'll go first. Mark Lund. Mark Lund, taxpayer of the district. First item I have is on your agenda. You've got 2 number 9s and 2 number 8s. So I'm going to address 12 and 13, or 13 and 11. I'm glad you guys picked that up when you went through your agenda to make any corrections. So, first item I have here, redoing your committees, and the curriculum committee by law is supposed to have 2/3 of the community members on that committee. So I'm just wondering how you're going to go about achieving that 2/3 of community members on the curriculum committee, since you're reorganizing your committees. Second item I have is agenda number 9, the policy on vaccinations. And I'm guessing this is the first read. This policy you have just do 2 readings of new policy. And this reads as if it's not yet an OSHA compliant policy. Some of the words in here seem to be if adopted, etc. And so I'm questioning if this OSHA's out already, or if you're just getting maybe ready for what OSHA's going to do. Down on paragraph 4, paragraph A, says if you're not vaccinated, that you're going to be requiring testing for positive or can spread the virus. Those that are vaccinated, as you all know, can spread the virus just as well as those that are unvaccinated. So I'm not sure what this is going to do for you to limit testing only to the unvaccinated. You speak to a disciplinary process here, but it doesn't really say what that's going to be if you have to take some type of disciplinary action to an employee. You're also requiring employees to be vaccinated by January 10th, which is today, but you haven't apparently acted on this policy yet. So I don't know how that works. Right now, there's no approved vaccinations. They're all emergency use. There is existing Minnesota law that prevents mandating experimental use medications. So not sure how this is going to apply to you all here. Also, just questioning of the liability of the school district for adverse effects since you're mandating employees are vaccinated. We know that deaths have even occurred due to the vaccination. So I don't see anything in here on your liability mandating that employees be vaccinated. Under paragraph 7, you don't address that federal law actually is under the Civil Rights Act of '64. It's the EEOC that determines the validity of any of these belief accommodations. And you don't make any reference to that in here. Even though you list a bunch of statutes and stuff at the end of the policy, you're not listing the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which does provide a reasonable accommodation. And just because this district as an employer, you don't have the last say, there is an appeal process through the EEOC to appeal the decision of the district or the employer. Paragraph G, under that, paragraph 8, OSHA requirements are incumbent on the employer. And as far as I know, the law is expecting to come out to allow testing if you're not vaccinated. Since OSHA is a requirement of the employer, then the employer should be paying for those test requirements that employees that aren't vaccinated are going to be required to undertake.
Mark, why don't you close this off? We're well past our 3-minute time.
No, I just said we got 3 minutes. The thing says each issue. Your statement on your agenda says you got the 3 to 5 minutes for each issue.
You know, what's good for me is that when in doubt, the board chairman makes decisions. Mark, you're going past your 3 minutes. I'll make that decision, probably not you.
Okay.
So,
Too much facts for you there, Mr. Britnell, is that right?
no, too much blather in my opinion,
It's your policy.
and we're following it.
Well, you can't be
We're not,
following now, it hasn't even been approved yet.
We're not getting into arguments here. It's not a back and forth. Anything you'd like to comment on? All right.
No, just one of the big highlights is that we can do policy readings in one reading. So we'll talk more about the policy when we get to it,
Okay.
but it is allowable.
Consideration to approve a retirement request at the end of the 21-22 school year.
We've got 3 here in a row, but we're going to start off with Bucky Lindell as a retirement. And we do thank Bucky for his years of service to the district.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Rebecca, seconded by Brenda. Other discussion? Bucky has 20 years in here.
You will be missed, that's for
Was
sure.
a teacher too.
Yeah,
Very
he's one of those magnetic people that all the kids just plug into. Is he,
Yeah, I had him for class and lots of coaching, and I wish I could vote no to this.
yeah, so true. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of the retirement request for Bucky Lindo, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve a retirement request at the end of the 21-22 school year.
This next one is Sue Frankie. She has also served quite a few years in the district and done a great job for the district, and we do wish her well in retirement as well.
Look for a motion.
I'll make the motion with regrets.
Brenda, on the motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Seconded by Bill. Other discussion?
She's done a really great job too.
Oh, absolutely.
She taught me to sing. Not very well, due to my own talents, but she She was really great at just breaking things down and boosting confidence and putting together some really great programs and a really great choir department, so. Thank you. I still sing in my car. Not very well.
Should be glad to know that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor for the approval of the retirement request for Sue Frankie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 3, consideration to approve a retirement request at the end of the 21-22 school year.
This one is for John Fogarty, which is, I think, his second retirement
Yep.
from the district. And so we wish him well again in retirement, and we look forward to him coming back and visiting and still being a part of the school district. So, and thank him for his years of service.
With a lot of appreciation, I make a motion to approve a much-deserved second retirement. Hopefully he can relax and enjoy some time with his grandkids.
A second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Luke. Other discussion? You know, it's difficult to find educators that stay this length of time. Back in the day, we'd have people that would be here for 25 years. And it doesn't happen so much sometimes because of cutbacks and such, sometimes because of other reasons. But by having 3 of these people retirement, they're big shoes to fill. Community members, these will be tough for us. Community meaning our school, so.
Do we do exit interviews for these folks when they retire? I just think it's 3 pretty influential folks. It would be good to do if we don't.
Principals talk to them usually on their last day.
Yeah, we don't have a formal exit interview, but we do have, an informal one.
Sure.
I think Mr. Folks is on the top of the seniority list, maybe by quite a bit, I would guess, huh?
50 years.
Yeah.
Top that.
I think even just beyond the classroom, I think what he has done with the speech program is one of the top programs in the state. Has taken home multiple state titles. When you look at the state high school league stats for that team, it is Cannon Falls consistently. And again, I've benefited from being in his classroom and being a part of that program. And there are moments, even as an adult, where they're just really exciting to be able to tell Mr. Fogarty things that I've done. And so being able to tell them, like, I got into my doctoral program, like, was a big deal, because that's just so a testament to, I think, a lot of the work that he did in building students with really meaningful skills beyond the classroom. And so he will be missed. And like I said, and it'll be interesting to see speech season without him. I don't know if he's quite ready to let go of that yet, but
I'm sure he'll be around.
he'll be around. So
And that's a testament to him also with the State High School League announcing that they're inducting him into the Hall of Fame, which is
yeah,
pretty big.
The same year as Joe Mauer. So if you had John Fogarty and Joe Mauer on the same list on your bingo card, congratulations. So.
Thank you for that. We have a motion, the second, to approve the retirement request for John Fogarty. Discussion is ended. You have anything?
No, it was.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve a leave of absence in accordance with the Teacher's Master Agreement, Article 10. Leaves of absence, Section 15, extended leave starting 22-23 school year.
Yes, this would start next school year, and this is for Molly Wallerick. And I believe the statute, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, talks about leaves up to 5 years.
Correct.
So we'd be following the statute.
Yes.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Brenda, on the motion. Second?
Second.
Second by Rebecca. Other discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 22-23 facility use agreement with Cannon Valley Senior Center.
This is the every year agreement that we have, that we align it with our organizational meeting for each year. The agreement is still the same. Per our referendum coming up, obviously one of the things that was passed as a cut at the last meeting was the closing of the CCC if one of the questions didn't pass. There is an out agreement that has always been in this agreement if we need to use that. So, and they understand that as well. I've been in communication with Laura Bramer at the Senior Center.
I would look for a motion to approve the facility use agreement. Anyone? I will make that motion. Is there a second to the 22-23 facility use agreement with the Cannon Valley Senior Center?
I'll second.
Seconded by Luke. Other discussion?
I just think that it should probably be tabled based upon the decision of the voters coming February 3rd. Because it really becomes a moot point. I believe I was the one that requested the annual review when it came up. And I think it's actually dated for July, so it really could wait.
So you're asking to wait for after the election?
After the election.
Are you folks okay with that?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What's that?
That makes sense.
It makes the most sense, and I think everything Bill said was kind of my hesitancy.
Okay, I will rescind my motion in favor of a table. Luke?
I'll understand.
Okay. So we are tabling the facility use agreement until after the election, basically? Okay. Bill, are you making the motion to table this?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to table it for the first meeting after the election.
Okay.
I'll second.
Brenda wins that.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to table the facility use agreement pending the outcome of the next election, the February election. Sound right? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the attached administrative contracts.
Yes, as negotiation seems to be the conversation tonight, we have just finished up the teacher negotiations, and next up in the cycle is the administrative contracts, which are completed here, except for the principals. We're very close to the principals being completed. And then we'll start with support staff, because they actually don't usually start until this next year, but getting them moving early would be great. And the administrative contracts fall in line with the teachers' agreement.
Anything on this, Bill?
Just to reiterate what Jeff said is that they do match the teachers' contracts.
The superintendent's the only one with a 3-year contract, and he has consented to put on
Yeah. Was it
2%?
2%?
2%.
Yeah.
For that 3 year.
So we need a motion to approve the attached administrative contracts.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Bill, second.
Second.
Second by Rebecca. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the contract, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on. Consideration to approve, to review Cannon Falls policies 1, 4, and 700.
This is a yearly thing in a 3-year rotation of our policy series. So on our district website, you'll see all the policies laid out there, and then every year we review about a third of them, and this year it would be the 100, 400, and 700 series. That would be reviewed by our policy committee. And Lori heads it up nicely. So basically, you're approving
No
reviewing
changes.
the series.
But noting no changes.
Well, if there's any changes that come out from MSBA in that series, we will send those out to the policy committee throughout the year.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Bill to approve. A second? Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Brenda on the second.
Sorry.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to review the Cannon Falls Policy Series 100, 400, 700. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve Policy 104, District Mission Statement, Visions, Priorities, etc.
This is an annual item also. A couple years back, the district went through a mission vision process and came up with the strategic priorities. As we continue to complete these strategic priorities, at some point we'll be having discussions again around what we want to do moving forward after that. So, but I would recommend that these are still viable strategic priorities in mission and vision.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Brenda on the approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Luke. Other discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve Policy 491, mandatory COVID-19 vaccination or testing face coverings. First of all, Mark had a question about the readings.
Yep, we are allowed to do one reading policies, especially in emergency situations. MSBA sent us two model policies, Policy 490 and Policy 491, in response to President Biden's vaccination mandate. And this came through the federal OSHA department. And it went through a series of court challenges. The latest court challenge that is in effect is from the U.S. Court of Appeals, which has upheld the vaccination mandate. And so it is currently being read in the U.S. Supreme Court, but no action has been taken. Today is the deadline to have that policy in place, and so I'm asking the board to pass recommended policy 491, which gives the option for either vaccination or masking and testing throughout this process. If something changes with the vaccination mandate, that will be discussed, but at this point we need to have a policy in place that gives us direction on what we are doing. Today during school, I waited until the last minute to see if the Supreme Court was going to make up their mind or not. We got no news on that. So I started collecting information on staff, on their vaccination status, and what their intent is to be moving forward so that we can plan implementation of this. Now, one of the points that Mark had talked about earlier, we don't need to have a policy in place to enforce an OSHA mandate. And so we are enforcing an OSHA mandate right now. And so we do need to have a policy in place as part of the vaccine mandate at this point. Again, if something changes, if it's a U.S. Supreme Court, we will deal with that as it comes along, but this is a fluid situation, is the best way to describe it.
So what are the repercussions for us if we just say, no, we're not going to pass this?
Well, I'm sure at some point OSHA will be knocking on our door and we will have fines that, because of our fund balance, we will not be able to afford. We always try to comply. It's my job to make sure that the district is complying with what is being required at this point. I'm a big believer in choice, and so the other policy that we have a choice in is just a vaccine mandate, and that's it. This policy at least provides the choice of having vaccine or face coverings. At the bottom of the policy, I don't know if you read the whole policy or not, but at the very bottom, it shows the accommodation sheets for both religious and medical exemptions in there, plus the necessary notifications.
Those are not required by the EEOC.
It doesn't matter.
They
Those
can
are,
file.
those are part of the EEOC apply, or shows what accommodations are. And we are allowing accommodations through those two avenues.
And the references also don't cite. civil
Well, I'm not
rights.
really sure, I'm not a lawyer, but this is what was given
But
to
that's what
us.
you're supporting yourself on, is what those
Not on
references
the
say.
board.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I don't know if we need to continue the dialogue.
Oh, no, I was just
Sorry.
pointing out.
Yeah, I
So,
don't.
Jeff, do we need to attach anything to this if the Supreme Court, to the motion, if the Supreme Court does away with this? Do we need to attach anything to our motion that says this falls off?
yeah, I mean, if the board wants to.
Yeah.
We don't have to enforce this policy, if you want to have that be a part of the motion, but we at least need to have the policy
Right.
in
Rick, you're
effect.
shaking your head.
I don't think we need to add it as an addendum. I mean, I think
It'll come back.
it'll come back through guidance through OSHA that it's no longer,
Required.
yeah. So
I mean, the district could always go above and beyond
Yeah, I
what
just
that
don't-
is. I
yeah.
think that's what you're talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. However you guys want to clarify it, but I would prefer that we not mandate things.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just doing my job, and I'm not here to sit up here politically speaking.
I mean, if this changes and it's no longer mandated, then,
I didn't know if we had to attach that to the motion.
It would be clear to me if the board would say, if this is mandated, we need to follow it,
Mhm.
obviously. If it's not mandated, what do you want to do with it? Because it's still a policy of the district, and we enforce policies. I think that's kind of the piece. So.
And how will we handle the religious exemptions? Who does that go to, or the medical?
That'll go through my office.
Okay.
So all religious and medical exemptions need to come through me, and we have individual meetings with those people.
Do we know anecdotally, like the percentage of employees who are already vaccinated?
We're gathering that data.
Yeah, I'd say we're gathering that data. Like, we have old data,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's up to date at this point. So. And really, that's where the choice comes in. We're not forcing people to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that. There's not anybody standing at the front door with a needle
Right.
ready to jab them when they come in. So.
Let's put a motion and a second on this, and we can continue to talk if you'd like at the discussion time. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the 491 mandatory COVID vaccine for testing and face coverings.
I would make the motion, but perhaps it could say to comply with federal and state legal requirements or OSHA requirements while they are in place, and that it could be reconsidered, if those policies change.
Again, that's not a given in all of this or not.
With any policies, I don't know if we pick and choose which ones we comply with. If you want me to come back, if something does change with the
Yeah.
Supreme
Yeah.
Court, I can come back to the board and say, do you want to not have us follow this policy?
No, we'll follow the policy as long as it's in place,
Okay, as long as it's mandated.
as long as it's mandated.
Right, I think
If that changes, then we can change our policy accordingly.
But I think
if the
just-
Supreme Court says this is not legal, I think
Right.
that's what Brenda's getting
But-
at, right?
Well, I would follow OSHA, but that should be based on what the Supreme Court decides too.
But I also think it's inherent, so the school
Yeah.
district's intent is that the policy meet and should be read consistent with the procedures mandated by OSHA as emergency temporary standard on vaccination and testing. So, I mean,
If the ETS doesn't pass muster with the Supreme Court,
then
then
it's
a moot
done,
point.
and then this
Yeah.
policy
Right.
becomes null and void.
Yeah,
Because
you
it's,
can look at it from that
so I mean,
standpoint.
I think
Yeah.
that's how I would interpret it.
Yeah, I
So-
think it's just good to be clear with
Yep.
that.
I think you can probably pass the policy as it's written, and then with what Rebecca had read out of the policy, that should be clear to what you guys, or knowing that what we're enforcing, what we're not
Yeah.
enforcing.
Because again, I mean, yeah,
And so if it does get shut down, what we could do is come back, reference the policy, and
Well-
have it removed.
and the sentence continues to say, to the extent these regulations are adopted and enforceable. So I mean, I think it's,
If it gets tweaked, that's a whole nother
Sure.
yeah.
ballgame. You may be coming back in 2 weeks. So,
Brenda, are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion stands.
Brenda's made the motion to accept that policy as shown. Do we hear a second?
I'll second it based on the purpose.
Seconded by Bill. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of policy 491 as shown, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve 2 awards of a new student scholarship from the Cannon Falls Ed Foundation.
yes, the Ed Foundation has requested the board to approve them giving out 2 awards of $500 each per this letter here.
Look for a motion to approve. Would you approve that?
Yeah, I'll move to approve. Thank you to the Ed Foundation.
Thank you to the Ed Foundation. Second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Luke. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of these 2 awards from the Ed Foundation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the Cannon Falls World's Best Workforce Plan document.
This is a yearly update to our World's Best Workforce Plan. Administration has worked through this plan, and this is what we submitted for our World's Best Workforce Plan for the year.
Look for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Rebecca on the motion. Second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Bill. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the World's Best Workforce Plan doc for Cannon Falls, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve the 22 election notice of testing of optical scan voting system.
Yeah, these next 2 items are notices to the public, and will just need to be summarily approved by your approval. One is for the notice of testing of optical scan voting machine. And we'll get to the second one after this.
This is not a resolution.
No, this is just a notice.
Yep.
Move to approve.
Brenda on the motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Rebecca on the second. Other discussion?
Just noting the clerk.
Yeah, the clerk will need to change. That's the only information we had at the time.
Yep.
Okay. Duly noted. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Passed. Consideration to approve the 2022 notice of location where ballots will be counted.
This is another public notice. And simple vote would be needed.
Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Rebecca, on the motion. Second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Luke. Other discussion?
Again, noting the change of
Yep.
Yeah.
Clerk change as well, okay. So we have a motion to second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, for our next regular board meeting, January 24th at 6 p.m., we'll talk about the spring head coaches, mid-year soup evaluation, consideration to approve the revised budget for fiscal year '22, consideration to approve facility use procedures and guidelines, and special school board meeting. And
We
close
will have the
auditorium.
public meeting for the bond right after our regularly scheduled, but it has to be considered a special
Okay,
board meeting because it's separate.
so we'll close this off and reconvene in the auditorium.
Yep, we'll probably just start meeting in the auditorium for that night just because it's easier to.
I like to march. My exercise for the day. Okay, and anything else you have for the soup, you can contact either Lori or Jeff and see if we can get your agenda item on the next month's agenda. Luke, congratulations once more.
Yeah, thank you.
As you read that or looked at that, education is to the forefront while you're here. And we all take our oath of office seriously, and that's academics, education, above all else. But we have a lot going, as you can see, so I wish you well. Having said that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
For some odd reason, that's our long one. Brenda, on the motion to adjourn, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rebecca. Further discussion? All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.